Welcome back to the recap call of the Beyond Business Club. Because if you are a creative person out there considering bringing something new, a project into the world, a business, maybe even monetizing and making money out of it, then you already are holding a bunch of things. You're probably caring for people. You're probably keeping people alive. Thank you for doing that. You're probably trying to be a good person. Thank you for doing that. You're probably feeling the weight of the world, especially when the world is on fire, which seems to be often now. So thank you for doing that. But this is a place that we talk about creativity and what it means to stay gentle and creative and sensitive in this world. We talk about life, especially in the three main areas of relationships with your people, love, with yourself, money, wealth, finance, creations of abundance and resources, as well as health, your own health, the health of your families, the health of your communities, what you're up to. And then by the end of the week, we bring it kind of into a rounding place of what are you going to do in your business this week? How do we apply these big topics that are usually game-changing perspective shifts for me at least, and then I'll bring them to you. How do we bring those into our businesses? Because if you're anything like me, and I know that you are, your business isn't just business as usual. You're not just a school teacher, a music teacher, a band leader, a dog groomer. You are not just those things. Your business is usually like a drug front for the deeper things that you're doing with people. So how do you sell that to them? Do you sell them what they want and then give them what they need? Is that a benevolent way of baiting and switching that is okay? Or do we lead with our heart on our sleeves and say, this is the true me? And then everybody goes, well, that doesn't look very Instagram ready. How do we navigate these things? So this week, we talked a lot about two big topics: self-loyalty and urges. So let's go. Self-loyalty, let me say for the record, self-loyalty is not self-centeredness, not the same thing. Selfishness, we are defining as lacking consideration for others, prioritizing your needs, yes, at the expense or above others, where it would actually maybe cause harm or do damage. But being healthily selfish, which we're concatenating, shortening into healthish. So when you hear me say healthish, I mean healthily selfish. Being healthily selfish, on the other hand, means that you are caring for yourself. Yes, putting your needs first, not at the expense of others, but in addition to, and still considering the needs and the well-being of others. So there is this secret hidden myth that's like the dark force in Star Wars. And just like Luke and Leia, we sometimes find out that it's even our loving parents that are handing down this myth on accident sometimes to us. But it is the myth of the selfless artist, or of giving yourself, give selflessly. That can turn into a very sneaky form of self-neglect. And that, my friends, will always, 100% of the time, block that creative flow. And I'm talking about the creative flow that when it's happening, you feel like you could do anything. You can still be tired, but you're welling up with tears in your eyes because you're like, but I'm doing this and it's right. It feels right and I'm doing it. So, and it doesn't always happen right away. Just like gluten and processed flour, we don't suspect giving as the culprit. Many of the people in the club know that I was helping my mom through a very big surgery this week, or actually over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I just got home this week. And I could clearly see that I had plenty to give. And then sometimes I could clearly see where I was giving up without actually meeting my own needs first. And I was never being asked to do that. But sometimes we do that because we just do that, where we go a little clueless or amnesia brain. And yeah, there are environmental clues that other people would really like for you to give up your needs, or things will just go much smoother if you don't have much of a sense of your own needs or your own self. But ultimately, we're adults, we're coaches, we're healers, we're mentors. We know that it still serves us to think of our actions, even when it's just giving, as a me problem. And I knew that was happening as I was caring for my mom, as I was caring for my uncle. But the good news is when I realized it, when I stayed clear, like this is all up to me, this is on me, and I can do this, it meant that I was both the cause and the effect and the solution. And I like to say that I just put on that little coaching hat all the time and boom, I'm immediately in my center and poof, I'm back in my creative flow again. But that is not what happened over the last 3 weeks. And even though I could see it even as it was happening, and I could even be talking about it with y'all in the club, and I even know what the solutions are about how I take time for myself, I still give it up a little too much. And then I have to go through the emotions. This time it was pure flatness. I couldn't feel anything for days. I was like, uh-oh. But I knew that there was going to be stories attached to flatness about my life, about my worth, about what I should be doing. And all I knew is, and all I stayed true to is, this is flatness right now. This is part of the recovery. I'm not going to make any decisions or believe any of my own brain stories about this flatness. I went through flatness and confusion and isolation. I dipped down into despair and what's the point of anything? There must be something wrong with me. When am I ever going to get it? I should get it by now. I went through loss. I went through deep sadness. I went through second guessing myself. And then I had to move through the urges to numb away from those feelings and the urges to escape and resist those feelings, all while knowing they were the very points for my creative redirection opportunities. So remember, the prefrontal cortex up here, our big human brain, is able to see this happening and make decisions still. Like I decided not to make any of those feelings mean anything about my potential or my future. And the primitive brain is always trying to address right now. I have needs right now and I need to answer them right now. It's always happening for all of us. So many of us in the club have these little clear jars with little glass beads in them, and we're making them mean different things. Sometimes you can make it mean each bead is for taking a courageous, consistent action. And you see those beads accumulate because that primitive brain loves to see accumulation, loves to be getting something and progressing. So some of us decide what we're going to do. We do that exact thing and we put the bead in the jar. But we also this week shifted it to when you're feeling an urge come up, compelling you to do something, eat something, or say something that you actually decide not to do, and that you can then put a bead in the jar for when you do not answer the urge. So we also talked a lot about urges this week, which I will go into more in detail in a moment. But just for now, as you're driving, as you're biking, as you're grooming dogs, whatever you're doing, think about where might you even now be abandoning your own creative instincts or your own need to go a little slower or stop and take a breath in the name of politeness, pressure, or perfection. It happens. It continues to happen. We're humans. It's okay. But being honest and seeing it for a quick moment allows you to get back in your seat of power and make decisions about what you want to do, because that is where all your power always lies, in your ability to decide what to do next. Not what went wrong and what it meant. Well, you can make it mean what you want it to mean. But what are you going to do next about it? And I also want you to consider what would change if you saw urges that were coming up in you to numb out or eat something or escape as a cue to get back into creation, and whatever that means or looks like for you. So, healthy selfishness, hellfishness, and how to deal with these urges to escape that compel you to do things or don't do things that don't serve you. So, healthy selfishness, let's remember here, is filling your pitcher first so that you can fill others, because that's what creatives usually do. When you get filled up, it's not that you then go take all your power and go isolate. When you get filled up, you usually want to connect. You want to go help others. That is a good thing. When you have self-regard and self-loyalty enough to fill your needs for space and time and quiet or nourishment, there's always a nuanced way where you are going to need to learn how and build the skill of putting your needs above others. But that is not the same as prioritizing your needs and desires at the expense of others. Very different. That's selfish. We are hellfish. So you get to care for yourself and consider the needs of others while you're tending to yourself and then eventually to their well being. So, the part about urges that I want to go a little deeper into, there's parts in your body, there's sensations that come up that will urge you to not feel something. And that part will scream very loudly, but it's not the part that's screaming, eat the chocolate, eat the sugar, numb out with the cocktail, whatever is urging you to smoke the cigarette, whatever the thing might be. It screams loudly, but it does not have the authority to act. It can't physically move your limbs. It can just scream. You still get to decide how to move your limbs. We are always surrounded by the things that we could eat, that we could distract with and indulge in. Even things we say, I don't want to do that anymore. And then we do it anyway, especially the things that we know, I don't think I want to be doing this anymore. But then it comes time, that end of that day, and we go, I deserve it. I deserve to just kick back and give myself this thing. What I want to tell you also, but it's scary even for me still to say, is that stopping moving your limbs and doing the thing that you say you don't want to do anymore, that is actually the easy part. The difficult part is allowing the urge to be there without responding to it. When hard feelings and emotions are coming up and we have the urge to escape them, resist them, deny them, but instead we turn in the direction of them and feel them and let them be there, that is the hard part, because urges seem like they are demanding you to move your limbs and act, but they don't have that authority. It's kind of like a toddler in a grocery store who is demanding candy right there at the aisle, going, please. And maybe they even have all the tactics of their eyes welling up with tears. Most people, we try to change our behavior or we willpower against the behavior, and that eventually stops working. What's working is to feel the urge. What works is to feel the urge and allow it to be there. Like a toddler in the grocery store, if you start combating that toddler and saying, no, I said no, and reasoning with them, they will eventually move into full meltdown mode because they've got the interaction going. So if screaming doesn't work to get the feedback loop of I want candy, I get candy, they'll go into a bigger meltdown. What does work is allowing that toddler to have their emotions, to want the thing, and eventually it dissipates. Now, you might have to step outside depending how big this thing gets, right? Same goes for in you. When you are feeling the urge and you just allow it to be there rather than arguing with it, reasoning it, willpowering through it, stuffing it down, and you don't give into it. The second you give into it and that feedback loop of dopamine gets complete and the urge is complete, you allow that urge to get even stronger for next time. Even when you resist an urge, when you give into the urge or when you resist it, it becomes even more irresistible next time. Because all an urge is an intense desire caused in your brain. And the more you reward it, the more intense it can become. But when you just feel what an urge feels like, allow it. You might even name some things. And you don't give in or act on it. It naturally extinguishes in its own time. So we use the kid in the candy store or in the grocery store asking for candy and screaming and even going into full meltdown mode. And it helps me to think of that when I really am just this close to doing it. I think if I give the kid this candy right now, that sets me up for next time to have to do it again. But allowing it to just let it be, taking that walk, taking that deep breath or a cup of water, then the dopamine doesn't quite get completed. The fact that you get to then start to choose where you get the dopamine release is amazing. So, urges are caused by rewarding our thoughts with action, and then they get intensified. And when we resist and escape and distract from them, they even get more intensified. If you don't resist it and you don't comply with it, it does disappear. So, it does not mean, this is the great news, it doesn't mean you don't eat sugar or you don't eat your favorite birthday cake or you don't have your cigarette. Well, maybe cigarettes might be the caveat, or you don't do the thing that you love doing. Here's what it means is you don't give in to the urge the moment it comes up in the real time. It means you do it after you've decided on it 24 hours at least ahead of time. If you know next Friday you are going to indulge in that birthday cake because it is your friend's birthday, and you know you plan what you're going to do, that's very different than completing an urge loop. This, when you decide ahead of time, that's how you maintain the authority of your actions, your moving of your limbs. You maintain authority over those urges. And you are already doing this in many places. So it does help to get coaching and to look at where you're already an expert at this. So, lastly, we talked about also how when you're being selfish, it generates energy. When you're being selfish, it usually depletes your energy. And when you are being giving, and needing to be a little more selfish, resentment builds. And that is also exhausting. So I want you to think of it also as a spectrum. On one side, you have giving to depletion, and that's at your expense. On the other end of the spectrum, you are taking from others and asking others to help you or give of their time that might be at their expense, and in order to satisfy your needs. And the only reason we're able to have these discussions here in the club is because they're very nuanced. And us creative humans who are attracted to coaching conversations like this are not the ones that are even capable from taking so much from others at their expense just to satisfy our own whims. That's usually not where the medicine needs to be applied. It's from the other end. But I want you to consider that there's right in the middle of the spectrum where you do build the skill of filling your cup first, understanding how your brain works, understanding your urges, understanding what it means to let them be, and not feeling like you're getting the short end of the stick by not giving into the urges, and understanding your needs so that you can fill up your cup. And then you know that that naturally means you're going to go give to others. That's what happens when you fill your cup. I promise you, and I know you know this too. Giving when you are full of energy, you all. Giving when you're full of negative energy or pain. Giving when you're empty. It's also praised by society. Might have been praised by your parents. You might even accidentally praise someone else when they're giving from empty because you think that it helps at least boost their self-esteem or their self-concept because you're honoring or seeing them and giving them a little bit of just at least acknowledgement. But it has the opposite effect. Then we all start giving more when it's at our own expense. Taking the time and the space to fill yourself with self-love and then give more from that love, that's when everyone wins. And the way you know the difference is exactly that, is when you're filling yourself up, you get energy. When you're giving because you already have energy, you get more energy. When you're giving from the depletion, you feel more depleted. When you're giving from obligation, you get more exhausted. So think about what the differences look like and feel like to you. The example I gave you all is when I have to fill my own cup, I don't necessarily need to go on a vacation or go somewhere. Usually what I have to do is go slower at a lot of things. I have to drive slower. I have to get into my car slower. I have to lift weights slower. Just letting it be, just staring into my own eyes in the dang mirror, being like, this is enough, honey. You're here. I have to not take brisk walks around the neighborhood. I have to stroll. When I sit down to play the piano or the cello, I have to play slowly. I eat slower if I remember to. I have to call my people and say, can we just have a slow conversation? Because usually I'm so excited to talk to all the people, but when I don't have anything to give, I got to go slow. So that's just one way. It doesn't take much time out of my schedule per se, but the way I do my schedule is different. So that's one example I gave you. And I want you to consider that middle point of the spectrum for you from the standpoint of what it looks like and means and feels like to be a contribution. So many of my clients start with me, whether it's in private or in the club, saying, I feel exhausted, I feel depleted, I hate my life, I feel stuck all the time, I don't know how to change this, I should know how to change this, I'm an expert in my field. And taking care of themselves feels wrong or foreign. But I don't know how else to say it but to say it. The transformation here, the medicine here, comes from figuring out how to fill your own cup, doing it, trying that out. I am not the Nike fan of just do it all the time for us sensitive creatives. But when you do try this, when you do fill yourself and you feel that energy well up, when you see that once you're full, what naturally happens is giving comes naturally, then you will be on board. You'll be like, sign me up for Hellfish every day. So what is Hellfish? What is self-care to you? It could be as subtle as working on setting proper boundaries, which mean you do different actions for you, not ask other people. It might mean just telling yourself the truth about something that you're trying to act like, I like this or I want to do this, but you don't. It's getting very clear, even in yourself, about your wants and your do not wants. It's going slow so you can show up from authenticity instead of obligation. So how the heck do you know? I think I just kind of hinted towards it. When you're filling your own cup, when you're acting from genuine generosity and authentic generosity, you get more energy. You get energized and you have more to give. But there's no resentment in that giving. There's more fun. Your circle expands. It compounds. Things start happening. You start saying things like, this really crazy thing just happened. No, it's because you are full and you're seeing the world different. Yeah, and there's coincidence and serendipity too, of course. But you see it, you accept it faster. It becomes everywhere. And it especially comes in your power and your awareness of your power to make decisions, which is where all your power lies. What are you going to decide and do next? When you withdraw your decision to give out of obligation, when you stop giving out of obligation, that might feel for a moment to be the selfish thing, like you're withdrawing your energy and that's going to hurt someone or be at their expense. And they might even say, why are you doing this to me? Why aren't you coming to my birthday party? That's hurting me. But that's not necessarily true. When you are filling your own cup, here's a good place to begin. Just like with healthy boundaries, that's not about what other people are doing or saying. It's always about what you are doing and how you will or won't take care of yourself. Being hellfish always has to do with your actions and your intent, not others. So when you take back your time and your energy, that's not at someone else's expense. If you're expecting them to give you their time and energy, that might be at their expense. And they have to make that decision. But drawing in your energy, you could be doing it right now on this call, is not selfish, it is hellfish. Is the only way to actually really give once you have something to give. And one reason we get it mixed up, like I said, is we get praised and loved when we are just going, and we're exhausted. Sometimes even more recognition happens. And another reason it's hard is because somehow we think we have to prove to the world that we are not selfish. We are so worried, especially in this day and age, of being called egotistical, cocky, narcissistic, arrogant. But the difference is those things are fragile. Those things break when they're under pressure or getting ridiculed or challenged. Self-love, filling yourself, self-loyalty is not fragile. It's okay when someone thinks something wrong about us. If someone thinks that we're being arrogant, but we're really just filling our cup, that's okay. It's okay to let others be wrong about you. You knowing between you and you what's really happening has to be enough, my friends. So an upstream solution before you even get to the part about being cocky or arrogant or self-love or whatever can be about you doing the work to gain your own self-love and your own regard and your own trust first from yourself, not praise from others. That's also hard at first, but anything you do becomes easier as you do it. It's a skill you can learn. Everyone can absolutely develop it. Saying no when yes is a lie, saying no when you mean no, and saying yes when you mean yes might be hard at first. But you know what's also hard? Resentment. That's hard and exhausting. When I came home from this almost month-long trip of helping, one of the first things that happened, thank you, universe, was someone asked me if I could watch their dogs for a week or a weekend. It was just a weekend. And I watched my face on the Zoom call be like, mm, I would love to help you. And I felt everything in my body being like, no, 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 you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't. And I felt in that moment how hard it is to just say, I'm a no for simply, I don't have any other reason, but that's a no. I wanted to have a trip planned. I wanted to have an actual valid excuse. You'll be happy to know that I still said no, even though I really wished I could be a yes. But I would have had nothing to give to those little pups. I'd have been mad at those little pups for needing anything. So, in order to give, you must be hellfish first. Think about all the time you can show up and give to you and how it will feel very different than to turn around and give to others. That's something you have control over. And you all here know that I am not here at my expense. I want to be here. If you thought for an second that I was here out of obligation, it would feel weird to you. I love being here. And so you can trust me that I'm going to go fill my cup in order to be here. In fact, that's almost all I'm filling my cup to do these days is to go all in on this. So other things I'm starting to say even more bigger no's to, things I never thought I'd say no to. And when I take a break or make a change or bringing someone on to support me, that causes ruffles, that does things. And I'm ready to take those on every single time, because doing the hard things willingly is very different than really trying not to have anything ever go wrong and living a half life, right? Because I know that the foundation of me staying full has to be the foundation. And that also means you can trust that I will never ask you to sacrifice something in order to get my needs met. Or if I ask you and you say no, you are guaranteed that I will turn to myself, to my own emotions and my own needs to figure that out. You knowing that and trusting that is what makes this a safe space, a healthy relationship. How do you offer that to others? How do you turn to others and know that they are offering that to you? That is how you generate safety and autonomy in your relationships. So you figure out what you need first. You live from your truth. You fill yourself first. Is it hard? Yes. Does hard things get easier the more we do them? Yes. Let others live from theirs and get to work loving yourself and them without needing anything to change. Next time someone calls you selfish, my friends, I want you to simply convert that to hellfish, have a little moment between you, and simply say thank you, because you know what you know on the inside. That's what I have for you today. Let's coach.